So, hello and welcome to our talk on the Lumatone and Meantone with 31 notes.
Wow.
So you want to do so?
That's a lot of notes.
Yes. It's more notes than we had in the last video, isn't it, George?
Yep.
How many
Last time was 19.
It was 19 in the last video. In this video, it's 31.
Which is about
How many more is it, George?
10.
It's 12 more.
Wow.
19 plus 12 is 31, isn't it? That's right. The 12 is an important number. So, the advantage of note 31 is that we have more notes to play with. We can transpose to more places, but the problem is that there aren't as many duplicates.
Exactly.
So before, this was F, this was E.
Yep.
So if we don't want to play E there, we could do da 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 da
Da da.
Now we can still do that, but it actually sounds different, doesn't it?
And then
And we can.
But you can still get away with it.
You can get away with it. You can also move the B down to match it. So what does that remind us of, George?
Heads up display.
Nope, that's the scale of Macam Rust, isn't it?
That is not
Or isn't
the
it?
Rust program of tech, not
No.
the tech Rust.
Obviously, it's not an authentic Rust scale either, because it's simply using the tempered values, and we have narrowed fifths, and you would never do that for a real Rust.
No.
But it sounds okay, doesn't it? And it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Okay and interesting.
But if you move your patterns of playing from 19 to 31 notes, you're having to get something like this, or you can do. I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
So do you want to show them the heads-up display then, George? Show them what the keyboard is. You can't see it very clearly here, but we have so we have sire notes in the middle, which are the diatonic scale, aren't they? The C major scale. And we also have a lot of different things. We have pink notes that are all the sharps. Or is it pink? Yeah, that's it. It was 19. Is that 19?
The one that we yeah, this is present 729 HTT both square.
What is it? It's 29. 29 is not 19, is it, George?
Okay, I'm going
We did do 29. I did 29 before. You weren't here then. You were still with Mummy, weren't you?
Yeah. Sorry, technical issues. This is the real one.
That's it. We did that yesterday. We did it in the last video. And now we're doing 31.
This one's a fraud.
There's not a fraud, George. I did do that. I did that with Andromeda. So the manual shows equal temperaments. So you don't need to do equal temperaments. We can do mean tone, can't we? The keyboard is Lumatone. The tuning is mean tone.
Okay, that's the heads up display not needed.
So do you think you can play us a tune, George?
Okay.
So you remember you start with a major pattern, major chord shape, don't you? See it? So.
Wait, no.
Yeah, it's 3/3, isn't it? No, 3/3. So you did this yesterday, George. You got it right in rehearsals, and then you got it wrong today, didn't you? So it's 3/3. See? 3/3. Do you want to try again, George?
Okay, I'll...
3/3.
Wait, no.
So, why don't you start on C like you did before, George, and you can use the colours to help. There you go. That was all right, wasn't it, George?
Mhm.
Was that harder on the keyboard with more notes?
The same as last time.
Yeah, it's the same as last time. That's good. So, although there are duplicates you can make use of, adding more notes doesn't make it any harder. And we
Or
can
easier.
and we can do transpositions, can't we, George? You're having trouble
Yes.
starting on a different note, but you can do it. Is it?
Okay, you're doing that in rehearsals too.
Oh, so I got it right in rehearsals, didn't I, George?
Because you like doing technical stuff and
I was-
pro
I was
stuff.
playing the right tune, George.
Professional.
And we practiced the tune before we started recording, didn't we, George?
Yep.
So I'll explain the 11 limit now. 11
There's
limit
a
harmony.
script.
Yes, George. Well, so F's good to start on, isn't it? So
Yes.
that's our F major chord. We can duplicate it up the octave.
Duplicators make more of it.
Let's make 2, duple 2. So we can also add the 9th degree. George. The 7th is there, isn't it?
Yep. Interesting.
No, it isn't. That's the 7th. Then the 11th is here. So that's we can move the 7 up here as well. And that's so especially the 11 and the 7 together are
Yes.
better than the last video, aren't they, George?
Yeah, because it's got more notes. Mate, exactly.
No, this isn't F, this is C still. Right. So C sounds okay, but so if this were 31 to an equal temperament, that would be a way of doing an 11 limit chord, 11 limit complete chord, or because this is actually tuned to mean tone. If we start on F, like I meant to do, like there, then it'll actually sound a little bit better.
Maybe next time when I do Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, I'll start
Don't play when I play. So that's a better 11 limit.
with. Yes.
So that's the advantage of that. So we have two different neutral thirds in our scale. One of them is slightly better than the other. So
Yes.
one place gives better 11 limit harmony than the other. But we have to emphasize, don't we, George, that we're still not getting correct 11 limit harmony because we're still tempered. So there are still small infelicities in the scale. And you can get some of the other temperaments I've been demonstrating will get you better overall harmony. The nice thing about Meantone is it's nice and simple and it works with your normal notation, like we
Thoroughly.
showed with the 19-note scale. So we can also look at our triad as well. That's a major triad. That's a minor triad. That is a neutral triad. Is that okay, George?
It's good.
So a neutral triad's a funny thing. Partly depends on timbre or who you are. Some people think it counts as a consonance. Some people think it's a dissonance. It obviously does sound good if you resolve it,
Yes.
even onto minor. But well, that's not right, is it? But it's all right, isn't it? It's got an okay
Yeah.
kind of sound. And you can base your scales off that if you want. And if you go to the C version of that, I think it was better as F, wasn't it? Because that should be the same. Because it's having a better 11 line at the bottom of the chord makes it better. And to do that, if we have unequal neutral thirds in a neutral third triad, it's an essentially tempered chord that assumes a 13 limit approximation. So we can try the whole 13 limit. Doesn't sound as good, does it, George?
No.
I didn't have the 9 in it either. So is that what we want to say about the 11-limit harmony?
Mhm.
So the next thing we have to look at is distortion, George.
Yes.
So do you think we can try distortion?
That's my favourite part of
Yeah,
this
you like
video.
distortion, do you?
Yeah.
So, you want to have a try it now then, George? Go on, George.
Behind the
give it a try.
scenes, I was like really into it. Yeah, that's distortion.
I think that's working, isn't it, George?
Yeah.
Yep. So, do you want? Okay, we'll stop doing that now, and I'll.
Distortion.
Yes, George. Okay. So,
Can I press the
I-
panic button?
no, because it stopped. You can see it stopped in that sub effect. Make it stop, George. That's it. So for people interested in maybe making that beautiful sound at home,
Yes.
we're using Zinad sub effects as our sound source.
With Guitar X, which helped make this beautiful sound on
Yes.
the Lumatone.
Guitarix is a very sophisticated sound processing engine which emulates vacuum tubes or some kind of valves, thermionic valves
When
in
we
overdrive.
were rehearsing we had to press the panic button.
We had to press the panic button before. So also Zinad sub effects is set to 45 simultaneous notes, which does help with what George is playing there.
Distortion.
Yes. So the thing about distortion is there are rules of thumb, because you can use your thumbs when you play the guitar.
Yep.
That when you play with distortion, you only play open fifths or 3-limit chords. So open fifths. But we don't generally, with the guitar, or with distortion, play a full major triad.
Not really.
Yeah, you don't need to shout, George, because there's no distortion. But now, that's the thing. That's a rule that comes from 12-tone equal temperament, just because the thirds are not in tune. In Meantone, the thirds are actually pretty well tuned, so we can play a major triad. And that sounds okay, doesn't it, George?
Yeah.
We can even try getting a bit further. That's a full 9-limit chord. And we can always have a go at so that's 9-limit. That's the 9-limit chord. Even that's okay. That's a much more complex third than called the open fifth. There. It's still a harmonious sound, isn't it?
Yes.
And well, we can
the
put
lovely, relaxing sound of distortion.
So even the 11 isn't that bad there, is it?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, what do you reckon to a minor chord, George? Think we can do a minor chord?
I want to do this.
Yeah, go on, George, do a bit more distortion. We have other distortion presets, George. Okay, that's enough.
What about the neighbours?
Yes, George. Right, it's totally, because Zinad sub effects is coping with your playing, isn't it, George?
I wanted to.
Yes, George. So we've demonstrated distortion now, so we can go back. Go back to the normal thing.
Yeah, that's not any distortion there.
So now you need to press the panic button,
Oh
George.
no! Panic! 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 Ah!
button. There we are.
Hey, it's not like there was a fire alarm or there was a chicken in the house.
There was no chicken in the house.
Yeah.
That's right.
No chickens were harmed during the making of this video.
That's right. And if you want different distortion, you can play with Guitarix, can't you?
Yes.
And I have done some videos with my guitar with Guitarix, because you can also use Guitarix with a guitar, funnily enough.
Yep.
And these are videos that nobody watches, aren't they, George?
Yep.
Except for you.
At home.
Yes. So I just do some tritone subs now and stuff. So that's the roots for a 2-5-1 in F major, isn't it?
Yep.
And we're starting on, we're ending on F. Isn't it?
Yep.
That's our 3-note voicing. What we can also do is have it as a chromatic descent. It could have been that, but we're doing that because that's better.
Yes.
So that is doing a chromatic substitution. We start with where were we? It wasn't that, was it? It was that. So that's the minor. So that's part of G minor. We move down to that, which is it is a harmonic 7th chord, George. It's a 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we end up on F7.
Nice.
So that's good. Good, isn't it, George?
Yes.
So when you move things to meantone temperament, you play them as they're written, but with tritone substitutions, you've got to remember that
Distortion.
you've got to remember augmented 6th, not minor 7th. So the 7th chord.
And if you want to have a lot of fun, use distortion.
Yes, that chord is really an augmented 6th chord. So do we want some more distortion then, George?
Yeah.
So thank you for watching. We'll play you out with distortion.
Yep.
So goodbye.
Goodbye. This is distortion. Wait. Technical difficulty.